Okay, so 1427 says, got it? All right. So I'll just read the verse and then we'll look at the purport. It says, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So it describes the Brahman as impersonal. 27. So let's read the purport, beginning with Advaita. And we need a microphone.
Purport. The constitution of Brahman is immortality.
Immortality, not immorality.
Sorry.
Immorality means something completely different.
The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the supersoul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter.
Okay, now you see what that says. Both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. So, that's why I'm saying everything is personal. If you go back far enough, you'll see it's personal. Like, for example, the light coming out of this light bulb looks like it's impersonal. But if you follow the wires, you end up in a factory where there are persons who are organizing the generation of that electricity. And if you keep going back farther, you end up in the sun. And if you keep going back farther, you end up with Krishna. So everything is personal. We only see things as impersonal due to imperfect vision or incomplete vision. Okay, go ahead. So read that. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. Go ahead.
It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature as fragments of the superior nature. And that is the spiritual touch to the material nature.
So in other words, he's impregnating the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature. That means he's injecting living entities into the material nature just by his seeing. So that is actually a verse from the Vedas. Let me see if I can find it here. Sa aikshata. One second. Aikshata. All right, go ahead, keep reading. I'll find it.
When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to Paramatma realization and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in the Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further, with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised on the Brahman platform, there is a chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, okay. When one understands this personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendentally blissful. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these six opulences. The servant of the king enjoys an almost equal level with the king. And so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman, or eternity, or imperishability, is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service. The living entity, although Brahman by nature, has a desire to lord it over the material world, and due to this he falls down. In his constitutional position, a living entity is above the 3 modes of material nature. By association with material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Due to the association of these 3 modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there.
Okay, now stop right there. This is extremely important. This is the danger of material education. The material education teaches us to dominate. I would call this, it's called the Bezos phenomenon. You ever hear of Bezos?
Yep.
Who's he?
He's a dominant and
Right. So what's he trying to do right now?
He's trying to become the richest.
Huh?
He's trying to make a lot of money.
He's trying to dominate the whole world.
Actually?
Yeah. He's doing it. He's not the only one who tried to do this. Previously, the Shah of Iran and the ruler of Saudi Arabia tried to do it too.
Education teaches us.
What?
I'm sharing notes.
Okay. Yeah, years ago, the Shah of Iran, this is before Khomeini and the revolution of the Imams, the Shah of Iran and the ruler of the Saudi Arabia, they joined together to take over the world economy. In other words, control the whole economy of the world. And they had a lot of money due to all their oil revenues. And they had a lot of cash, let's put it like that. They had a lot of cash. So they started trying to buy major companies throughout the world. Huh? Other big oil companies and then big manufacturing companies, in Europe and the United States. And to stop them, the American CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, basically assassinated the king of Saudi Arabia, and dethroned the Shah of Iran by supporting Khomeini and the Iranian Revolution. But now today you have Jeff Bezos. He's actually attempting to take over little by little the entire economy of the world. Whether he'll do that or not is questionable, but he's definitely a major player in the United States, and but his company is all over the world now, or in many countries of the world. So this is what kids learn when they have material education. They learn what? To associate with the modes of material. They get entangled by these modes, people's passion. And due to the association of these modes, they desire to dominate the material world. So, without the benefit of Krishna consciousness, one will be swept away by this desire to dominate. Not everybody can dominate like Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter. If they dominate the whole world, or if they just dominate some part of the world, that's enough to keep them. Like an ant can dominate a grain of sugar. Carry it along back to its nest, or back to its colony. So, the ant is also dominating on its level. And so it's just very significant what we just read. The living entity, although Brahman, meaning spiritual by nature, has the desire to lord it over the material world. And due to this, he falls down, meaning falls down from the spiritual world into the material world. In his constitutional position, in his original position as a devotee of the Lord, the living entity is above the three modes of material nature. But association with material nature entangles him in the different modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Due to the association of these three modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there. You see? Okay, so now you can continue reading.
By engagement in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, he is immediately situated in the transcendental position, and his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed.
Okay, so by engagement in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, meaning you're following the rules and regulations, associating favorably, getting up early every day, coming to Mangal Arati, hearing classes, doing service, and so forth, 24 hours. He is immediately situated in the transcendental position. That was his original position, or his or her original position. Transcendental to the influence of the three modes by virtue of being always engaged in devotional service. And because of that, his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed, is purified. Okay? This is what keeps us in the material world, our desire to dominate, to control, and to enjoy things independent of Krishna. Okay, go ahead. Therefore, the process of devotional service.
Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering, the prescribed 9 methods for realizing devotional service should be practiced in the association of devotees. Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed.
Okay, you see again, he's talking about material desire to dominate. The Jeff Bezos phenomenon. Okay, go ahead.
Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed, and one becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This method is prescribed from the 22nd to the last verse of this chapter. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the Lord, see the places where the Lord had had his transcendental pastimes, read off the different activities of the Lord. His reciprocation of love with his devotees, chant always the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And observe the fasting days commemorating the appearances and disappearances of the Lord and his devotees. By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. One who can thus situate himself in the Brahman Jyotir, or the different varieties of the Brahman conception, he is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality.
Yeah, it's qualitatively spiritual, above the influence of the modes of material nature. So, the Brahman conception is described as being impersonal. But ultimately, there's two things that we should take into account. One, the Brahman is made up of infinite numbers of jivas, individual souls like us, that are in the Brahma Jyoti as pencils of light. Like a pencil is long and thin, right? So it's pencils of light. So it's not actually impersonal, if you could analyze it closely. And then secondly, the Brahman is the Brahman effulgence coming from the body of Krishna, as well as the Paramatma, are both within Krishna. Where did we read that? We just read that. Oh yeah. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. So, two reasons why everything, even including the Brahman, impersonal Brahman effulgence, is actually personal. Right? Because, first of all, the Brahman effulgence is coming from the body of Krishna, and it's also situated within Krishna, and as well as the Paramatma. And secondly, the Brahman effulgence is made up of infinite number of jivas, individual souls. Right? There's nothing more impersonal than the Brahman effulgence, right? But even that is not really impersonal. When you look at it, it looks impersonal. Just like when I look at the ocean, right? It looks impersonal. But if I go into the ocean, I suddenly see there's the floor of the ocean, there's huge forests of algae in the ocean, just like there are forests of trees on land. There's forests of algae in the ocean. And the bottom of the ocean is just as variegated as the surface of the earth. There's mountains on the bottom of the ocean, and there's valleys, and there's rocks and all kinds of different things. And then there's forests growing out of the ocean in the form of algae. But you don't see it on the surface of the ocean. So the surface of the ocean looks impersonal. You go into the ocean, you see there's billions and billions of living entities, all very strange and different living entities than there are on land. And in the ocean there are mammals as well as fish. Like, do you know one mammal that lives in the ocean? Dolphins. Dolphins are not really fish. You have it? Let me look it up there on my cell phone, make sure I'm talking about what I'm saying is true. Huh? It is true. Okay. Huh? And whales. Okay. Just double check. see. Like every mammal, dolphins are warm-blooded. Unlike fish who breathe through gills, dolphins breathe air using lungs. Dolphins must make frequent trips to the surface of the water to catch a breath. Whales and porpoises are also mammals. All right? So you don't just have fish in the ocean, you have mammals. Mammals, the same type of mammals that are on land, like cows and horses and things like that. So you see, there's as much, if not more, variegatedness in the ocean as there is on land. But when you look at the ocean, it looks like it's impersonal. You don't see all those things. And the same when you look at the Brahmajyoti, this effulgent light, you don't understand. It's actually full of variegatedness. Yes?
The very personal question doesn't even arise in my mind because I don't even know what Brahmajyoti is. I can see it, I can experience it.
No, you see, when you look at the sunlight,
yeah,
you're seeing the reflection of the Brahmajyoti within the material world. It's reflected off of the sun. That is the Brahmajyoti also. Okay, now when you see the sunlight coming through a window that has a screen on it also, then you see little dots. Have you ever seen that? When you see the sunlight coming through a window, and if there's a screen on the outside of the window, right, you'll see little dots. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't noticed.
So you look carefully next time. Those little dots are what you would call molecules of light that you can't see normally, but when you see it coming through a window, some people say, well, it's just the dust in the air that you're seeing, But Prabhupada describes it differently. I have to find that quote where he says that. So, but if you see sunlight going through a prism, it breaks it down into a rainbow of colors. So the white light is actually made up of all those colors. But when we look at it, we don't see it. But you see, when the light goes through a prism, you suddenly realize it has a spectrum from yellow all the way to dark blues. So there are many things we don't see because we have imperfect vision. But we can correct our vision by reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So the ocean appears impersonal. If you look at the ocean from your 35,000 feet in the air, flying in an airplane, you look out the window, you look at the ocean, it looks impersonal. You can't see hardly anything. It's just like the surface of water. But when you look more carefully into the ocean, you suddenly see this tremendous variety. And same with the Brahmajyoti, it looks like it's impersonal. But when you analyze it closely, as we're doing now, you see it's full of persons.
I was just saying because I can't even see Brahmajyoti. To me, it's neither personal nor impersonal because I don't even know what it is.
No, I'm telling you. Okay, let me give you the exact quote, okay? Let's take a look.
No, I'm not questioning whether it is. All I'm saying is that question is not important to me because the first question to me is, what is Brahmajyoti? How do I feel it? If I can't even feel it, it doesn't really matter to read whether it's personal.
No, we're going to make it personal right now.
Okay.
And relevant to you. You're saying, I don't really care, and I understand why you're saying that. But that's why we come to class, so that things become relevant. Okay, we read this yesterday. It's in the Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, 21st verse, and also in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see, let me just see where the Bhagavad Gita is. Okay, 376, 7th chapter, 8th verse, purport. Open up 7th chapter, 8th verse, purport. And it says, Got it? Okay, so first of all, there's a very important statement that says, in the purport, the last sentence of the first paragraph, it says, one who knows God, this is 7th chapter, 8th verse, purport. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything. And that there is no contradiction between them. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established this sublime doctrine, achintya bheda abheda tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. Then first sentence of the second paragraph. The light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahma Jyoti, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. Okay? So now there's two major points here. One, that is, that the impersonal and personal conception are in everything in existence. Right? So just like you look at the surface of the ocean, it looks impersonal. You analyze the ocean more carefully, you see it's personal. There's fish, there are mammals, there are mountains, there are valleys, there are forests of algae, there are innumerable living entities. There are all kinds of coral and rock and just amazing things in the ocean. But you look at the surface, it looks impersonal. It looks like all one. Right? And secondly, the light of the sun and the moon is originally emanating from the Brahma Jyoti. And then in the Brahma Samhita, verse 21 and verse 16, it says that the Brahma Jyoti is made up of infinite number of jivas, living entities. Let's take a look at that. We read this yesterday, but we'll go over it again. So, 5th chapter, Brahma Samhita, verse 21, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, just as the sun is eternally associated with his rays, so the Transcendental Supreme Person is eternally joined with the jivas. The jivas, or individual souls, are the infinitesimal particles of his spiritual effulgence and are, therefore, not perishable like mundane things. Jivas, or individual souls, being particles of Godhead's effulgent rays, exhibit on a minute scale the qualities of the divinity. Okay? And then also, in verse 16, in the Brahma Samhita, it says, in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, the innumerable jivas as spiritual particles emanating from the oversoul meaning Paramatma, in the form of pencils of rays of effulgence, have no relation with the mundane world when they come to know themselves to be the eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Okay? So twice he mentions that the Brahma Jyoti effulgence emanating from the body of Krishna is made up of innumerable jivas, or individual souls, that appear as if pencils of rays of light. So now, that's why it says in the 7th chapter, 8th verse, one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there's no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya establishes sublime doctrine, achintya bheda abheda tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. Now, when the Mayavadi philosophers say that the absolute truth is kevala advaita, absolute oneness, there's no duality in it, they are lying. It's a lie based on their imperfect vision, and they're misleading other people by such lies. Okay. Now, how do we know that? We know that on the authority of the statements of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita. So they're giving half the hen. They're not giving you the whole hen. You know what a hen is? What is it? Huh? It's a chicken. It's a female chicken, right? If I give you half the hen, is that as good as the whole hen? No. In fact, it's no good at all. Can't lay any eggs because I cut it in half, right? So the impersonal philosophy is half the hen of the truth. So it's misleading, it's a lie, and it's nonsense. But yet, 98% of the gurus that come out of India are Mayavadi philosophers. 98%. That's a lot. Huh? Right. Okay. So, continue reading the purport. 16th chapter, 27th verse. Yeah, you were reading, right? I stopped you to make an explanation. 16th chapter, 27th verse. That's what we're studying today. Huh? You did? Well, let's see. Let's double check your thought. Maybe I'm wrong. You were reading.
Oh, yeah. I finished it.
By engagement in devotional service and full Krishna, last paragraph, by engagement in devotional service and full Krishna consciousness, he is immediately situated in the transcendental position, and his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. Okay, start reading from there.
I was on the last sentence.
Okay, so you didn't read the whole sentence, the whole thing. So start from where I said. Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering.
Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering, the prescribed 9 methods for realizing devotional service should be practiced in the association of devotees. Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed, and one becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This method is prescribed from the 22nd to the last verse of this chapter. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the Lord as fear of the Lord, see the places where the Lord has transcendental pastimes, read of the different activities of the Lord, his reciprocation of his love with devotees. Chant always the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And observe the fasting days commemorating the appearances and disappearances of the Lord.
Commemorating
the appearances and the disappearances of the Lord and his devotees. By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. One who can thus situate himself as a Brahmajyotir. In the Brahmajyotir, different varieties of Brahman conceptions equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality.
Yeah, you did finish that purport. Very good. Okay, so yesterday's topic was that everything is personal. And today we studied the ultimate impersonal thing called the Brahman effulgence. And we see that that's also personal. And then we read Prabhupada's quote that 7.9, that one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there's no contradiction, therefore. No contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. Okay, so this is a very important point to understand. Otherwise, you have an incomplete understanding of reality. As long as you have an incomplete understanding of reality, you'll never attain love, you'll never attain happiness, and you'll never attain peace. Never. N-E-V-E-R. Never. Because you don't have a full understanding of reality. As long as we have a partial understanding of reality, whatever we do in life will be partial, will be incomplete. That's why we're studying Bhagavad Gita. Okay, any questions? It says here, yesterday we also read that impersonalists cannot really enjoy life. This fits into what I just said. We read that in the 2nd chapter, 63rd verse, in the purport. Impersonalists cannot really enjoy life. Now, I really don't know many people that enjoy life. I know a lot of people who are miserable. I don't know many people who actually enjoy life. Why are they miserable? Because they have an incomplete understanding of reality. And not only their understanding is incomplete, most of it is wrong. That's even more severe. Having a whole set of misconceptions at the basis of your understanding. So having incomplete knowledge, it means you have some knowledge. Having a complete set of misconceptions means you have no knowledge at all. That's more severe and more dangerous than having incomplete knowledge. So, impersonalists cannot really enjoy life. They don't think Krishna has a body, and thus he cannot eat. So, they do not offer him nice prasadam. Devotees know Krishna has a body and offer him very nice food that becomes prasadam by his mercy. So devotees enjoy life more than the impersonalists. Impersonalists reject life by thinking everything is maya, or illusion. So, here Prabhupada says, for example, an impersonalist, this is in purport, the purport to 263, right? For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord, or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So, after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus, everything becomes spiritualized, and there is no danger of a downfall. See, everything becomes spiritualized. Why does everything become spiritualized? Who can explain? How do things become spiritualized? Yes. Okay, give her the microphone. Where's the microphone? Say it out loud.
If it's like dedicated to Krishna or like offered to Krishna?
Exactly right. If you offer something to Krishna, just like if you offer something to a fire, what happens to that thing? It becomes fire, right? In the same way, if you offer something to Krishna, what happens to it? If you offer something to Krishna and he accepts it, because you have to offer with sincere prayers, if he accepts it, it becomes spiritual. Right? So now we have a process. This is the real alchemical process. You know what alchemy is? A-L-C-H-E-M-Y, alchemy. That's not a game. Okay, 1 second. Let me double check the spelling. A-L-C-H-E-M-Y. Alchemy, that's right, A-L-C-H-E-M-Y. The medieval forerunner of chemistry, based on the supposed transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base metals into gold and to find a universal elixir, a seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, or combination. Okay, alchemy was an attempt in previous ages to transform matter into spirit. Right? Now, that's that was known a long time ago. It's the process of offering things to Krishna. But then it degenerated into making iron into gold, because gold is expensive, iron is cheap. So then people wanted to transform iron into gold. Now that was also known in the past. Yogis could drink mercury and urinate gold, because the body is like a chemical factory. It transforms things, right? So yogis knew, by the way, don't you ever do this, because mercury is extremely poisonous. You'll die immediately. But yogis knew the trick or the secret of how to drink mercury and urinate. Have you ever seen a thermometer? It has that red liquid in it. And as the temperature goes up, the liquid goes up? Yeah. That's mercury. Never break a thermometer and play with that. It's very dangerous. If you drink that, you can die. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Well, it used to be mercury. Maybe they made it something else red, but it used to be thermometers were made with mercury. So alchemy was degenerated as time went on, and by the Middle Ages, it was an attempt. There were two attempts. One is to find the elixir of immortal life. That was one attempt of goal of alchemy, and the second was to transform base metals, cheap metals, into gold. And both failed, but in the process, they discovered modern chemistry. What's chemistry? Have you ever studied chemistry in school? You will as you get older. In high school and then college, you'll study big time chemistry. What is chemistry? It's the science of how to mix things together, and make other things out of it. You mix chemicals together and you make other things like plastics, and you make different types of metals, and you make bases and acids and so many things. Okay. So we know the transcendental alchemy. Transcendental alchemy is what? Krishna consciousness, offering simple things like, cabbages and cauliflowers and tomatoes and mixing it together with spices and ghee and different things, and then offering to Krishna with love, and it all becomes prasadam. And prasadam is the original elixir of immortality. If you eat only prasadam and you have faith in it, and then also the ultimate magical catalyst is called Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You know what a catalyst is? Okay, so there's two words we're learning. What? Catalyst. There's a cat in it. C-A-T-A-L-Y-S-T. Y-S-T, catalyst. A catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. C-A-T-A-L-Y-S-T. Today we're having a lesson in chemistry. The precursor of modern chemistry is alchemy. All right. Before modern chemistry was developed, they were experimenting with alchemy. Anyway, the original chemistry is called Mahaprasadam. You transfer something ordinary to something transcendental or spiritual. And And you can do it with mantras, especially the Hare Krishna mantra, where you can transform ordinary material things into something spiritual. Right? So you don't have to go to high school and college to learn chemistry. You just come and learn Bhagavad Gita. You learn the ultimate chemistry, how to change material things into spiritual things. That's the ultimate chemistry. Okay, so therefore, devotees know how to enjoy life. Like I said, most people don't know how to enjoy life. They want to enjoy life, but they don't know how to enjoy life. So they think they'll enjoy life by smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol or eating meat or gambling. Just like I went to this one nursery. I know the owner of the nursery. He's a nice man. And he gave things free to me because, I explained to him I'm a devotee and I use everything for Krishna. So he gave me some free things. So he was a nice guy. But then he got a phone call from a friend, and the friend told him, let's go to the casino tonight. And his eyes got real bright, and he had a smile, and he got real enthusiastic. You know what a casino is? What's a casino? You gamble, you drink, you eat meat, you do all nonsense there, right? So, he became excited to go to the casino. So if I tell someone, let's go to the temple tonight, you get excited? Then he gets excited. No, I didn't hear other than love.
Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Parana Dana Madana Manohara Gopi Parana Dana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bora Pamsi Badana Suvasa Prajajana Palana Surakulana Sana Prajajana Palana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godana Rakvala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tata Chara Gopi Basana Hara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabana Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabana Bhakti Vinodashaya Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Parana Dana Madana Manohara Gopi Parana Dana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadra. Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadra. Jayo Sitaram Jayo Lakshman Hanuman Jayo Sitaram Jayo Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev. Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
परमहंस परिव्रजिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजिकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। राधा लीलामाता भगवान की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द Assemblies, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द Assemblies, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द Assemblies, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरांग, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna. So a catalyst is a substance that's used to make a chemical, two chemicals bond together. And that substance itself is not changed. That's what a catalyst is. So the ultimate catalyst is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra again. Why? Because it can change something material into something spiritual by using the mantra to offer to Krishna. But it doesn't get changed. It always stays the same. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if you have faith in the mantra and you chant nicely to please Krishna, it changes everything. Your life, your thoughts, your body, everything around you into spiritual things. So that is the mercy of Krishna, that his name can change everything from matter to spirit. Okay, so we discussed a bunch of these things yesterday, and so today we're going to discuss a different subject. The subject today is about misleaders and the misled. Do you know what that means? What's a misleader and who is a misled person? Say it with the microphone.
Like a misleader, someone who misleads someone, or
purposely gives misinformation or wrong information.
And then the misled is the one who does the wrong information, or
lives according to the wrong information and goes in the wrong direction of life. Yes. So misleaders and misled, or as Prabhupada said, the cheaters and the cheated. What's that mean, Arush? Cheaters and cheated. Yes. Who were cheated. Yes. Okay, so you have cheaters and the cheaters and the cheated, or the misleaders and the misled. What does that mean, my brother? What does it mean? Misleaders and the misled. Yeah. Misled are the ones who've been cheated and are going in the wrong direction. Okay. So, the living entities in this world, in the material world, are suffering because of forgetfulness of Krishna. And they have accepted many misconceptions of life. Like, for example, everything started with the Big Bang. Ever heard that before? The Big Bang theory, right? If I make a Big Bang in your house, will that create something or destroy something? Yeah. If I light a stick of dynamite and I put it in your house, and it burns, the wick burns down and it ignites the dynamite, and dynamite goes big bang, boom. Will that create or destroy? Yeah. So how did how did they get this theory that originally there was a Big Bang and then it created the whole universe? It's a bunch of nonsense. Jai Shri Radha Nilamada Bhakti Jai. Then another misconception is that we all come from monkeys. You got a monkey in your family, Ria? No. You have some grandfather that was a monkey, or great-grandfather was a monkey? No. I don't either. So this bunch of nonsense. And then another nonsense is that if you dominate things and people, then you become wealthy and you enjoy life. Is that true? No. I'll give you an example. There was this married couple in Canada. This happened like 2-3 months ago. This man was the 5th richest person in Canada. He was a billionaire. He had a big pharmaceutical company, meaning he made junk drugs and got rich selling them, right? and they found he and his wife dead in their house. They were both died by there were some kind of ropes around their necks, and they were hanging off the balcony of their house. They had a big, beautiful house. They were hanging off the balcony with these ropes around their neck. In other words, they both were strangled and broke their necks. And the police said it was a murder-suicide. You understand what that means? Murder-suicide. You know what suicide means? Kill yourself, right? So, in other words, but the police thought that the husband hanged his wife and then he hanged himself. So hanging his wife is a murder, and then hanging himself is a suicide. So it's called a murder-suicide. Of course, that's not true. They were both murdered. But the police didn't want to investigate, so they said it was a murder-suicide. But then the family of the husband and wife got their own investigator, and their own investigator determined it was actually a murder, not a murder-suicide. Embarrassed the police. Anyway, this man did a lot of mean things to build up his company. He cheated people, and he put other companies into bankruptcy, and then bought them out and so forth. Okay, so he dominated to become wealthy, and then to enjoy life. You see, he dominated by using different tricks to drive other people out of business, and then buy up their stock and their business for very cheap. And he became wealthy, and then he enjoyed life. And what happened? No, he was murdered. Right? So, when we forget Krishna and we accept misconceptions of life, like the ones I just named, then we think that the real goal of life is to dominate, become wealthy, and then enjoy sense gratification. And this is the result of material education, materialistic education. These people, kids, learn this by being educated in material institutions. And what happens, it just leads to misery. Yeah, there is some happiness, temporary happiness, but the end result is all misery. Just like this couple, fifth richest man in Canada, he ends up hanging from a rope from the balcony of his house, right? Because of his cheating and domination and illicitly gained wealth, and then ultimately all the nonsense, sense gratification he did. So when people have misconceptions of life, these are called mediocre ideas. Do you know what the word mediocre means? M-E-D I-O-C-R-E. M-E-D-I-O-C-R-E. M-E-D-I-O-C-R-E. Mediocre. It means not very good quality, bad quality. So when you get junk education to think that the goal of life is to dominate, become wealthy, and enjoy, these are called mediocre ideas that are put into the mind. And what happens when you have mediocre ideas, very low-class ideas? It limits your intellectual potential and keeps you imprisoned in a very restricted time-space module. Okay. Now, what does this all mean? Everyone has a certain conception of space and time. Now, most people have a conception of space in terms of the size of their bedroom, the size of the kitchen, size of their house, the size of their car, the size of the office that they live in. Because that's where they spend most of their time. Size of the bathroom also, right? So how big are those things? Okay, you're listening. You're going to play 12 feet? Sit over here. No. Mayapur can sit here. You sit over there. Okay. So, time-space module. What does that mean? That means that most people, the space that they live in is very small. Cars, people spend a lot of time in cars. Bathrooms, they spend a lot of time in bathroom. Bedroom, they spend a lot of time in a bedroom. Kitchen, they spend a lot of time in a kitchen. All those rooms are small. They don't spend so much time outside walking up a mountain or in a big pasture. You know, most of the time they spend in these little rooms, and that limits their space concept. And then time concept, they're always in a hurry, right? They eat in a hurry. They have to go to the office in a hurry. They're always in a hurry to go to the soccer game, to the Carnatic music lesson, to the SAT test, all these things. They're always in a hurry going places. So their time-space module. Module means the organizational, let's say, model of their life is very limited, because they're always living in these little spaces and they're always in a hurry. Right? And that limits the way you think. That limits the way you think. So, and the other thing that limits the way we think are mediocre ideas and concepts. Okay, what is a mediocre idea? Do you know, Mayapur? Mediocre, M-E-D-I-O-C-R-E. Mediocre means low class, very poor, very bad ideas. So, what are these bad ideas? We went over them. You know, we all come from monkeys, and everything started with a big bang, and you have to dominate people and things to become wealthy, and then you use that wealth to enjoy sense gratification. These are mediocre, bad ideas, wrong ideas. And what it does, it limits our intellectual potential. In other words, we cannot imagine eternal life of bliss and knowledge. We can't imagine it because our time-space module is so limited that it's way out of our imagination. We can't even picture what it would be like to be eternally happy in the spiritual world. So we think to become eternally happy in the spirit, it's a fairy tale. It's not true. We only think in terms of living in these little spaces, always being in a hurry and having anxiety and worry. That's normal life. And a little bit of sense gratification. That's normal life. How does that sound? What do you think, Sanjay Prabhu? How does that sound? Does that sound like it's a life worth living? Huh?
I'm living that life.
Well, we all are. We all are. And we've been tricked into it. We've been tricked into it.
It's like earning daily bread type of thing. We are running after every moment, but we are not able to catch up anything in our life. And but we don't know the other alternative also.
Well, we're trying to learn from Bhagavad Gita what is the alternative to this. See, that's the whole point.
We don't know like other alternative and how to approach that one. And the problem is like on day-to-day basis, means how to get rid of the things what we like for example like hurry thing. I'm in that space always, like I'm running around basically to do something other or other, like taking kids here, taking kids there, going to office, eating. Like sometimes I wonder why I'm like what I'm trying to achieve in my life. I'm not achieving any peace of mind also. I don't have time to sit and eat my food also.
Yeah, it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
How do we get into this mess? See, all because of misleaders and misled, cheaters and cheated. all because we've accepted wrong concepts in the name of knowledge. We've been cheated by our teachers. The ultimate cheating is Mayavad philosophy. That's the ultimate cheating. As we discussed earlier, and Mayavadis claim that there's no spiritual world with variety in it. There's no, Krishna doesn't have a body. God is not a person. We're all going to merge into some light, and that's it. You know, it's an eternal light. That's it. There's no variety. That's just like eating food without salt for the rest of your life. Do you like salt in your food? Yeah. When you eat food without salt, does it taste good? No. Well, that's what Mayavad philosophy is. There's no salt. It's just blah. Flame. You know, life is oneness. That's nonsense. That's a false concept. We don't realize how false it is. All these misconceptions limit our potential. We can be, our potential is like Narada Muni. Narada Muni doesn't need an airplane. He can fly anywhere he wants. Is that freedom? He can fly to the spiritual world in 1 second. It's not that you're sitting in an airplane hours and hours and hours, you know, waiting to go from Seattle to Dubai, you know, 14 hours just sitting there bored in a tin box, right? No, Narada Muni can go to the spiritual world. It's way past Dubai, right? He can go to the spiritual world in 1 second. That's freedom. That's the nature of the soul, right? Now, what's happened to us? We're sitting in that tin box, you know, and people watching movies and sleeping and then eating nonsense food, you know, and you're completely bored, and then, you know, by the time you land, you're exhausted. Yes?
Demigods, like, does it take like an hour for them to go to the spiritual world?
They can't go to the spiritual world. Demigods can't go to the spiritual world. They can't go. They're not pure enough. I mean, they're purer than we are, but they're not pure enough to go to the spiritual world. Narada Muni, by the way, Narada Muni never had any education. He never went to school. His mom was too poor to send him to school. Then how did he become Narada Muni? Okay, let's read this. Let's look up 9th chapter. Ninth chapter, verse number 2. Very good. Now, look at paragraph number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Paragraph 7. Paragraph 7. What? It begins in the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26. You got it. Okay, who else got it? Arush, you're going to read now. Go ahead. You got it? In the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26. Now, everybody has a different version of Bhagavad Gita. So just look 9.2, 9th chapter, 2nd chapter, paragraph number 7. Go ahead.
In the Vedanta Surta 3.2.26, this is also described in the following words. Prakasas Chakarmanyabhyasat. Go ahead. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt.
Hey, remember this now. This is important. Prakasas cha karmanyabhyasat. Simply by engaging in devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. Enlightened means full of knowledge, okay? Just by doing service. Go ahead.
A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narada, who is that life,
Who in that life
happened to be the son of a maidservant.
Maidservant means she was very poor, and the only way she could earn a living was by serving others, like washing clothes, cooking, cleaning the house, things like that. Go ahead.
He had no education, nor he was born into a
Nor was he born
into a high family.
He had no education. He was never educated. He never went to school. Right?
He must have did some good stuff.
Well, we're going to hear what that good stuff is. Go ahead.
But when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narada also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself.
So, he didn't go to school, but he would serve great devotees.
Like who?
Oh, we're going to hear. Go ahead.
Like who?
Go ahead.
Narada personally says...
Just read the English in this verse.
In this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada described his previous life to his disciple
Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva.
In other words, Narada Muni, who never had education, is the guru of Vyasadeva, who wrote all the Vedas, the most educated person, right? He's the person that wrote the entire Vedic literature. And his guru is Narada, who never went to school. Think about that. Go ahead.
He says that while engaged as a boy servant for those purified devotees during the 4 months of their stay, he was intimately associating with them.
That intimately means he was in very close association with them, very close to them. Okay, Mayapur has a question. What is it?
So if I ask him something like, oh, what is 1 + 1? Would he know it?
Well, he would take one gulab and then take a second gulab and bring them close together and said, oh, 1 + 1 means 2 gulabs. So yeah, he knew, but in a practical way, not in a theoretical way. Okay, go ahead, Arish.
Sometimes those sages left remnants of food on their dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste
the remnants. In other words, the sages, these pure devotees that he was serving, they would leave a little bit of food on their plates after they'd eat. And Narada wanted to taste it. And he was the one who was washing the plates. So he had faith that these are pure devotees and that the remains of their prasadam is called, it's not just Mahaprasadam, it's Maha-Maha-Prasadam. What does that mean?
It's the remnants
of the saints, of the pure devotees. So that's Maha-Maha. Just Krishna's prasadam that comes back to the devotees is called Mahaprasadam. But the remnants of the saints or the sadhus Mahaprasadam is called Maha-Maha. So what does Maha-Maha mean?
It's more is there Maha-Maha-Prasadam? Is it like Maha-Maha-Maha-Maha-Maha-Maha? It's like you give some food to Krishna and the spirit.
Now, anyway, Maha-Maha-Prasadam is the prasadam that's been tasted by pure devotees. So it's even considered even greater than simply Mahaprasadam. Okay, go ahead.
So he asked the great devotees for their permission.
But one time I had Maha-Mahaprasadam of Srila Prabhupada. I was on a trip with him. We went from Paris to the south of France to visit a building that we wanted to buy for a temple. And we stopped on the way and had a picnic. And Prabhupada purposely didn't finish all the prasadam on his plate. And then we distributed it to all the devotees. That was Maha Prasadam. Yeah.
So should we take always the permission to take Maha?
Yeah, you have to.
Without permission, we should not.
He should always ask permission. What did Narada Muni do? He asked permission, right? He didn't just take it.
Or on purpose, like you had mentioned, Srila Prabhupada, on purpose, he's wanted to distribute that.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
And when they gave it to Narada, Narada ate those remnants and consequently became freed from all sinful reactions. As he went on eating, he gradually became
as pure-hearted
as the sages.
as the pure devotees. So, how did he become Narada Muni, the greatest sage in the history of this world? The guru of Vyasadeva, who wrote all the Vedas, he did it by serving pure devotees and eating prasadam offered to him. After the pure devotees ate some of the prasadam, he had Maha prasadam, just by doing those two things. And also listening very seriously to the sadhus' discussions and lectures. He became a pure devotee himself.
Is Narada Muni?
He's still alive, yes. No, he's a brahmachari. He didn't even take sannyas. He's always remained a brahmachari. He's the #1 pure devotee in the universe. And he's still there today. One time Prabhupada was invited to do a program. Nobody came to the program, only 4 devotees that accompanied Prabhupada. And the devotees said, "Oh, Prabhupada, we're sorry, nobody's here." Prabhupada said, "Oh." He said, "Oh, no one's here. I see Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, I see Narada Muni. You don't see them?" Yeah. Go ahead.
The great devotee relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada said...
Okay, now Riya, you read. Show Riya where. Show her where to read from. By associating with the sages. Narada says, by associating with the sages. By associating with the sages.
By associating with the sages, Narada got the taste for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra,
Prakasascha karmanyabhyasad.
If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha.
Pratyaksha, directly perceived. Okay? So this is a different system of education. It's not based on studying. It's based on serving humbly and listening. If you develop, Prabhupada tells a story. He was in Vrindavan once with many of his god brothers and his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And they were in a temple room and they were all sitting. And another disciple came and made an announcement. He said, "Dear devotees, Now we're going on parikrama to the 7 major temples of Vrindavan. Anybody who wants to come and have darshan of the 7 principal deities of Vrindavan, please come. So everybody got up, except Prabhupada. A few sannyasis, and when I say everybody got up except Prabhupada and a few sannyasis. Everybody else left to go on parikrama. And Bhaktisiddhanta was sitting there, and he continued his class. And then he stopped and he looked at Prabhupada, and he said, "This boy," he said, "he has a very strong desire to hear. Therefore, I will instruct him, and nicely, and he will do wonderful things." What was Prabhupada's qualification? He liked to hear from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his guru. And he wasn't interested in going on parikram. Now, why do people go to holy places?
So like they get blessings and after they get blessings and after they say, oh, but like if they're like a pure devotee, they're like, oh, make me really good and push up on you. Like he doesn't like.
Give him the microphone.
He doesn't want like material things. He wants like spiritual things, but like he doesn't want to take stuff away from Krishna. But like a non-pure devotee would just come and say, "Oh, give me $100 and I'll pay you back 50." Or like really like stuff what Krishna won't give him.
Okay, good answer. There's a verse that says, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarva gunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahad guna manoratanasati dhavato bhai. And this verse says, okay, that's not the verse I want. Oh yeah. Yasyatma buddhi kunape chidatuke. Swadi kalatradisu bahomna ijyadi. Yatirtha saliler Yatirtha buddhi saliler nakarisij janesu avigyesu eva gokara. This verse is very important. It explains the purpose for going to a holy place, a holy tirtha, on pilgrimage. A human being who identifies his body made of 3 elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, and it considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow. So, the purpose of going to a holy place is not to take a bath. What's the real purpose? To hear from genuine holy men, not from rascals, but from genuine pure devotees. So, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. His guru is there. They're sitting in the temple room, and there's an announcement. Whoever wants to go on parikram and see the 7 principal deities started by the Goswamis, please come. And everybody gets up and leaves except Prabhupada and a few sannyasis. What does Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say? He's very pleased with Prabhupada. He said, oh, he has a real interest to hear. Therefore, I will teach him, and he will be able to do wonderful things. You see. So, what was Narada Muni's qualification? He liked to serve and hear the saintly persons, and because of that, he was able to get their prasadam. And simply by eating that prasadam, he developed more desire to hear, and he became gradually the purest devotee in the universe. Okay, so continue reading, Ria. Okay, start again. By associating with the sages, Narada got the taste for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord.
And he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra,
Prakasascha karmanyabhyasat.
If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, directly perceived.
Yep, real pratyaksha, or seeing things properly, is engaging in devotional service. Then everything is revealed to us. Go ahead.
The word dharmyam means the path of religion. Narada was actually a son of a maidservant. He had no opportunity to go to school.
Okay, so you see, 2 times it's saying he never went to school. He was never educated. Never. Go ahead. He was?
He was simply assisting his mother. Unfortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narada also got the opportunity and simply by association achieved the highest goal of all religion.
Simply by association. Now, if you simply associate with demons, what will you get?
The lowest.
Yes. And if you simply associate with pure devotees, you get the highest. So it all depends on your association. Go ahead.
The highest goal of all religion is devotional service. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam,
Savai pumsa paro dharma yato bhakti rahoksute jai shishirada nilamadavaki.
Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter 8.
Now, this is called this is called a contradiction. It says, religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. Now, what's wrong with that statement? It doesn't say demons do not know that the highest goal of that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. What does it say? Religious people do not know. It's not saying demons do not know. It's saying that religious people do not know. Now, normally you would expect it to say demonic people don't know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. It's saying religious people don't know it. What does that mean then? Huh? No.
People who worship other gods.
What?
People who worship other gods.
Yeah, people who are misled by misleaders. The misleaders, the Brahmins that do the ritual performances, the yagyas and the pujas, are misleading the people. Therefore, the religious people don't understand what the real goal and real perfection of religious life is. You understand? In other words, in Kali Yuga, demons have infiltrated religions purposely to mislead people, because the only thing that can help people in Kali Yuga is genuine spirituality. It's the only thing that can really help people. Therefore, the demons have infiltrated religions. They've become Brahmins and priests purposely to mislead people in this age. Otherwise, if people actually follow religion and spirituality correctly, there will not be a Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga will be changed into the spiritual world, now even better than Satya Yuga. Right? Because what did we say? What is the real catalyst that can change? What? C-A-T-A-L-Y-S-T. Catalyst. C-A-T. A-L-Y-S-T. What is the real catalyst? That substance that makes two different things connect to each other to make a third thing that's wonderful, but it doesn't change itself. Huh? The Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. The Mahamantra. It can take something material and change it into something spiritual, and it doesn't change itself. It's the transcendental catalyst. Yes.
If you like sing near like animals, like that extra Mahamantra, they will like when they hear it, they'll become like pure or like.
You help them. You help them seriously. Yes. When you chant Hare Krishna for the animals and the insects and the birds and the reptiles and the fish and the demons.
And everything around.
Yeah, and the trees. And the plants.
And that's basically if you like put on some rap music, that will become like more green.
Yes. We don't like rat music. I call it rat music, not rap. Rat music.
Yeah.
Rat music, yes. Okay, so continue, Ria. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service.
As we have already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter 8, Vedeshu Yajneshu Tapashu Jaiva.
Very good.
Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization. But here, although Narada never went to the school of the spiritual master and was not educated in the Vedic principles, he acquired the highest results of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, one who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization.
Haribo. Okay. So we're going to stop now. Any questions? Yes.
Prabhuji, you have mentioned about the time and space module.
Yes.
So I'm still stuck there. So you have mentioned one thing, we are always in hurry. So I'm always in hurry too.
Hurry curry.
So how we can practice that, at least since few activities we can see there is no hurry, and gradually we can...
you come to the temple and listen to the class. There's no hurry. Are you in a hurry right now?
Yeah, not right now, but when I'm coming to temple, to the class, because I'm late, I'm in hurry.
Well, then wake up earlier.
So that's just
you don't have to hurry. You have to be regulated. If you're regulated, you'll never be in a hurry. If you're not regulated, you'll always be in a hurry.
Okay.
There's an English proverb that says, it's no use leaving late to go somewhere. Better start early and get there in time. So if you leave late, you're in a hurry. If you leave on time, you'll never be in a hurry. See? So you have to regulate yourself, your schedule. This is the sign of successful people. They're very regulated. I knew about one man In 1920s, he was one of the richest men in this world. I won't tell his story, but it's a very interesting story. Huh? His name was Kalust Gulbenkian. He was an Armenian. He was an Armenian guy. He was born in Turkey, but he worked in the Ottoman Empire as a. He worked in the Ottoman Office of Surveys, and when the Ottoman Empire fell apart, he secretly took all the surveys done by American oil companies in Saudi Arabia and kept them, because the whole empire was falling apart at that time. There was chaos everywhere. And these surveys took years to do, right? And it cost a lot of money. And he kept them secretly. And then when all the war was over and Ottoman Empire had completely destroyed and broken apart, the oil companies had to negotiate with him to get all those surveys back. Otherwise, they'd have to do it again, you know. And he made a deal with them that he would get 5% of the revenue of all the oil that comes out of Saudi Arabia. And they signed a contract with him. And overnight, he became one of the richest men in the world.
Is he still alive?
No. No, his story is very interesting. But the only reason I mention him is because he was very regulated. He had a scale. And he would never eat more than 1 pound of food a day. He would weigh the food. It could be anything, but he wouldn't eat more than 1 pound a day. That's how regulated he was.
1/3 per meal?
No, 1 pound a day.
No, 1/3 pound per meal?
Yeah. And that's all he would eat. He was not so skinny. You know, he maintained. Prabhupada says, a young man cannot eat enough, and an old man cannot eat too little. You know what that means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Like, an old man can't eat one, or else he's like gonna die.
Absolutely wrong.
An old man,
You messed it up completely. You misunderstood it totally.
an old man can eat less because like they need those like thingies. Walking stick. If they're walking stick, and if they're too like fat, they can't.
It's just gonna break.
So old men should eat less, right? That's and how about young men?
Young men should eat more.
They can eat more, right? So you got it backwards. Okay, so go ahead. Do you understand? You have to be regulated. What do we follow? We follow regulative principles of spiritual life. Huh? For regulative. What does the word regulative mean? It means it's according to a standard of time. It's regulated according to time and place. So you wake up at a certain time, you eat at a certain time, everything is planned in your day. The person who was the most regulated was not Kalus Gulbenkian. The person who was most regulated was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He did everything. He had a pocket watch. He didn't have a wristwatch. He had a pocket watch. He would always look at the watch because he was a magistrate, which is the highest position an Indian can hold in the British Empire. He was the director of the Jagannath Puri Temple. He wrote over 100 books in his lifetime. He had a family, I think 13 kids with his wife. Yeah. So, you know, he did all these things perfectly. When did he write? He wrote between 12 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. That means he had to take rest at 8 o'clock at the latest. You see? And then he had to go to work, he had to go to the temple, then he had to spend time with his family and his kids. He had 13 kids.
Was he really tired?
No. If he was really tired, he couldn't do it. When you're regulated, you don't get tired. Okay, so we'll stop right there and continue again Next week. Hare Krishna. Huh? Homework. Okay, homework. Explain.